Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Brass Junkies. I am your host, Andrew Hitz, and I am joined by the bizarrely talented Lance LaDuke. Lance, how are you?
I was really appreciative of your introduction.
Wow, it is late.
Andrew.
Oh, good Lord. It is almost 11 p.m. and both of us are wicked punchy, as we say up in Boston. So, speaking of which, the Red Sox have 95 wins, and it is September 2nd. That has me in a good headspace.
How many wins do the Pirates have?
Less than 95.
Let me find out.
Yeah, and
anyway.
The Yankees may or may not be 8.5 games back, which has me very happy. So by the time a lot of people listen to this who don't subscribe, the Red Sox will have either won the World Series or not won the World Series. And so it really won't matter how many games they were up on September 2nd, but things are going well right now. So
they're just behind that number at 67.
So just 28 games behind the best record in baseball. That's all right. I actually like there's three sports teams in Pittsburgh, and two of them I would love to just see them just collectively fall off of a cliff. But the Pirates, I like. I do. Yeah. I have a soft spot for them. I don't root for them in any way, but I have a soft spot for them.
You missed. They had Andrew Hitz night.
Oh, is that right? They felt obligated because I don't loathe their existence like I do the Steelers and Penguins. So they were like, yeah, he's not so bad. Yep. So, yep. Anyway. I digress.
You know what else is in Pittsburgh, Andrew?
Well, there's a lot. Pittsburgh's an awesome city.
Including
I love it.
Duquesne University and the Mary Papert School of Music.
Look at that.
See what I did there?
Come on. Professional. I didn't even know what you were doing.
See?
Whenever you're smooth, it takes me completely aback.
If I had $1. So I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of Andrew and myself to thank the Mary Papert School of Music, the brass area, as a matter of fact, because you can thank them for helping sponsor this show. And one of the ways you can thank them is to go to the link in the show notes. And on that, or through that link, you will get to a page that tells you all of the wonderful things that are going on for brass players who are interested in studying at the university level. Fantastic faculty, great ensembles, all kinds of wonderfulness. Is that a word? It'll do. So thank you very much to the Mary Papert School of Music, and very, very special thanks to Jim. Oops, I did it again. Nova. For making that possible.
I think that's our first Britney Spears reference in the 3.5 years of the Brass Junkies.
Which means we've failed.
Right before you joined Boston Brass, we recorded the Stan Kenton Christmas albums. The Stan Kenton Christmas albums. Holy mother!
Well, you bought 1,000 of them, so there were technically
there. Yeah, there was a lot. So we. Recording that, the hang at the hotel every night was beyond epic because we didn't start rehearsing until we didn't start recording until everything was done at school, and it was the first week of January, so there weren't students there, but we didn't start recording until 8 every night, something like heading over at 7 p.m. So the hang was going until we would end it around midnight, and then we were hanging until 5, 6, Yeah, there was a poker game at one point that had to move because they had to open the breakfast area at the hotel. So they were good. Setting up the cereal. Well, we were playing Taiko Drum Master. There was these epic battles on the PlayStation of Taiko Drum Master between it was all very surreal. But one of the tunes on that was Britney Spears' "Toxic," and Jens was obsessed with that song. And I'm not sure if it worked out, but we were trying to get him to throw a Britney Spears "Toxic" quote into one of his solos on the album. So that was attempted a couple of times. So that was one hell of a week. Good Lord. Yeah, I thought we were going to burn that hotel to the ground. So, but that was something. At one point, I couldn't even tell you what was said, but Sam Palafian was laughing so hard that he fell on the floor of the hotel room. He then rolled under the desk until he hit the wall as there were just tears streaming down his face and convulsing. It actually looked like he was dying. So, and that was just like a random moment from that 5-day stretch. So I'm not sure how we're all still here, but we are. So
oops, he did it again.
So
I Gucci.
We would also like to thank Parker Mouthpieces for providing the hosting for the Brass Junkies. Parker Mouthpieces offers fine, customizable component mouthpieces for horn, trombone, euphonium, and tuba, including the Andrew Hitz Artist Model tuba mouthpiece and the Lance LaDuke Model euphonium mouthpiece.
Wow.
You can find out more at parkermouthpieces.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Well, today we were joined by Dr. Gail Robertson.
Gail is an awesome human and was a very good sport and she was like straight through the whole thing. I don't know how she did it.
I don't know
She's
either.
Obviously put up with people like us her whole career because she wasn't buying it. I mean, she's awesome and is very wonderful and is a dear friend. So I don't mean she was like, there was any aggression. She just was like not taking the bait.
She even brought us back on course at one point. It was like as if she was the interviewer. I've had to do that on, not because people were being jackasses like we are on here, but like, you know, when an interviewee is just really straying off, we'll say like usable course for the audience, you know, you just kind of gently nudge them back, you know. And she did that on like a behavioral front at one point. It was smooth as hell too. It was like slick. It was awesome. It was like your Pittsburgh segue, and I was like, "Where's he going with this?" So, yeah, good stuff. So it was great. She's awesome.
So diverse. She's done everything possible in the field, and she's like just a cool person. Works harder than anybody ought to.
Than we do.
Yeah. Well, that's not saying much.
I was going to say, yeah, I guess that doesn't sound that impressive, but in case we didn't make this point clear in the actual interview, like she not only does all of this stuff and like in writing, composing and arranging all this stuff, she does it amazingly well too. That's the kind of annoying part is like when people do
been
that
lucky
much
enough
stuff.
to play a couple of her charts, the Tuba Force charts, and man, they were just great. They're just so well written.
Good stuff. So, without further ado, let's get to
about those Patreon people?
Oh, geez, and the iTunes. See, It's late, man. It's late.
I know it's late.
If you would like to hear the bonus episode from this episode, with the Stan Kenton Christmas arrangements, what did I call it? The Kenton albums? There's just a lot of random singing in this episode. As you're going to hear, Gail starts, I won't spoil it, but she starts singing at a really random time in this interview. So her most animated moment is not when you would expect. So for as little as $1 per episode, which is a whopping $26 a year, you can hear a bonus episode with every single guest that we have, and the entire back catalog of bonus episodes will also become immediately available to you. You can go to patreon.com/thebrassjunkies, and you can hear us get usually even crazier with our guests. She had some good ones. Yeah, she had some really good stories that she shared with us in the bonus episode. So don't miss that, and definitely don't, if you're a euphonium player, Matt Trotman, whose interview was great. His bonus episode was like 25 minutes long, which is like double how long they usually are. And he was on a roll. It was like he was holding court with hilarious, like I was crying. So I looked like Palafian on that Quality Inn
Gucci
Liverpool, New York floor back in 2005. So yeah, it was good stuff. So head there. And also anybody who would like to leave us a rating or a review on iTunes, that really means a lot to us. And also for everyone who has subscribed, thank you. That is the best way to never miss any of the incredibly uplifting insights that we deliver via this podcast.
You inspire me, Andrew.
I'm paraphrasing. No one's ever actually said those words. I'm paraphrasing something that's never been said. So that means I'm just making it up. I need to go to bed. Without further ado, let's get to the conversation that we had with Dr. Gail Robertson. Today on the Brass Junkies, we are joined by a wonderful euphonium artist who also plays the tuba, as all of the great euphonium players do, because at some point a few years ago, you all figured out that the tuba is really not that hard. And you're like, well, I could just do this too. Or you're like Lance and you learn the trombone. But anyway, you guys are always expanding your horizons.
Learn is a strong descriptor for what I did with the trombone.
Not sure why I'm feeling so generous tonight, but anyway, speaking of generous, our guest tonight is much nicer than either Lance or I, and I think you will all enjoy her company. This is Dr. Gail Robertson. Gail, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Great. Thank you for joining us. I haven't seen you in a million years.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Go ahead.
No, we saw her at the tuba conference a few years ago, right? That you hosted.
Oh, that would be 2015. The Surtec.
I think that's the last time I saw you.
That's a while ago.
Yeah.
Well, and it looks like I just got the lineup for ABC next summer, so hopefully our paths will cross there. I'm going to head out over the 4th. I don't know when you're going to be there. Do you know you're going to ABC? You're on the website, by the way.
Yeah, I'm going. Oh, I haven't seen that. Yeah, I haven't seen that. That's another website I haven't seen.
Yeah, before the show, I gave Gail a list of the things I was going to put in the show notes, and it included pages that she didn't realize she was a part of. Library of Congress, Geico, and Best Buy. It was a surprise.
Some random congresswoman from New Mexico, her campaign for re-election. Yes.
Yeah.
So you just sold a house and moved, and that was like the last something like 6 weeks straight, and then and now you're on a podcast when you should be relaxing.
All I know is that school got out in April, and then I think I went to Brass Band in Battle Creek. I don't remember. I came back here and did Dixie Band Camp, and then went to Florida, got a spider bite, put me in the hospital for 4 days, got out.
No way.
Went to the Blossom Festival band and was there, I think, a week. Came home, and I've been doing contractors work ever since. I'm talking hanging ceiling fans, painting the whole house, 9 truck beds worth of mulch, you name it. I'm tired. And I needed school to get back into session so I could stop doing contractor work.
Wow.
Has that happened?
Yeah, school started for us. We had a full week last week. And then 2 days. We started, about 10 days ago.
Oh, that's pretty good. So you can get some rest now. You can sleep during your lessons. It works out fine.
No.
At least the unprepared ones. I have no problems putting my head on the pillow at night.
If they're not prepared, I'm going to send them out and say, go practice and then come back in about when you have it. And if I don't see it till next week,
clear your schedule.
I'm going to try it. We'll see. People come really prepared to my lessons, so I'll threaten and that means they'll be even more prepared.
I'm stuck between trying to decide whether to go talk about the brass band of Battle Creek or spider bites.
Spider bite, right?
Seems like it. So, Gail, how does one get a spider bite?
I don't know. I think when I was mowing the yard here in Arkansas before I left, I didn't feel it. I didn't see it. I didn't know it. But I think it was on a Tuesday or Wednesday. Something got me. By Friday, on June 15th, I could barely stay awake, and that is not me. And I mean, I could not function hardly. It made me sick, but I didn't know it was wrong. Why I was so tired, and it was really weird. I mean, I didn't know. And then when I saw something was starting to appear on my arm, which I'm highly allergic to, I went to a walk-in clinic because I was in Florida and got some pills, and that didn't do anything. So about 5 or 6 days later, it was huge. So I had to check myself into the emergency room. So. They never knew what it was. No one ever, they didn't really care what it was. They just wanted to make it go away. It wasn't a brown recluse. Yeah. It didn't do that yuckiness, but it consumed my whole arm, and yeah, it was bad.
Goodness. Which arm?
Left arm. And I told them I had to get out of the hospital so I could go play the Blossom Festival band with Laura Shizzle. So, yeah.
How long have you been playing that band? Did you? Is
I've done
Earl
2
still
seasons.
playing, or is he done?
No, it's I subbed for Travis Scott last year. He's a wonderful euphonium player, and then this year it was Travis and I that played. So I think I'm going to be in that group for some time now. So
that's great.
It's a great band. When I went and did that job 2 summers ago, I almost turned it down because I was so busy, and I thought, well, I should probably say no because it would give me some more time. And I thought, nah, I've never done anything in that area. So and I didn't know anyone in that entire band. However, a trombonist came up to me and said I was his judge when he was in middle school, and I don't remember him, but yeah, but it was the most amazing band. I enjoyed it very, very, very much. So,
that's cool. And now you got your doctorate at Michigan State. Were you there at the same time that Travis was there, or did you not overlap?
He came right after me. Yeah, I think he was there maybe 2-3 years after me. I was there. I did my doctorate in record speed. I did that in 15 months.
Wow, Zers.
Yeah.
I like in your bio where it says that that you postponed your doctoral studies at the University of Maryland with Dr. Brian Bowman to perform at the Troubafours, and I think I'm going to start saying that I postponed my my master's studies. I postponed them 18 years ago, and I will never unpostpone them.
Well, I was at Maryland starting a doctorate I remember when I was in school. Then I was the youngest person in any of those classes because I'd gone right from undergraduate to doctorate. And then master's to doctorate. And then I thought it was weird, then Disney called, and I was working at the Bob's Big Boy and took that whole thing down in Florida and did that 10 years. And then I've been wanting to go back, and I don't know, finally I made the wild jump and did the leap. Actually, I did my degree in 18 months, not 15, 18 months. I hauled through it. I mean, I was ABD for about 2 weeks, and then I hung my diploma on the wall and I was done. Yeah. And I went back. I have no regrets.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah.
What the hell's wrong with you?
Well, it was one of those things where I wanted to do it for so long. And when you go back, I was not the youngest when I went back the next time, obviously.
Right.
And so, it was cool. I mean, I think I was 47 or 48 when I went back, but I really, really, it was different. I mean, you study better, you know what you want. You're not doing all the hang stuff or whatever. And, it helps not having a marching band and all the stuff. I really just did classes I had to do. I got an amazing fellowship through the school called the University Distinguished Fellow. And it meant I had free classes, and my tuition was covered, my books. Well, actually, I don't know if books were, but health benefits, and I got a great stipend, and I didn't have to do anything. It was great. It was great. So it was worth it. It was more money than I was making as an adjunct teaching. So yeah. So, but they call that the ticket to the party, so, and it was worth it because, I did that, and then I got finished, and then I taught at Eastern Michigan. Actually, I taught Eastern Michigan University a year while I was doing my doctorate, and then I did one more year, and then this job in Arkansas popped up very last minute, and I took a leap of faith, and man, I love it. So, it's great, but it's well worth going back to school, though. That's for sure. I could give people advice on how to do that and how to get through your degree. Yeah,
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Cool. So then my timeline's all screwed up. Who did you succeed at Eastern Michigan? I'm asking because we just interviewed Matt Trotman.
Well,
and I know he spent some time there, but I think there might have been some people between you. Oh, okay.
Nolte was there, and just, I think, briefly. And then I came in after Dennis.
Well, certainly the thing I first knew you through was the Troubafours. Would you mind talking about what that experience was like? Like, how'd you get that gig? What was the gig? Is there a gig like that? Now, can it just sort of unpack what that whole thing was about?
Well, my mom tells me when I was a little kid, we'd go to Disney, and I always wondered why there are no girls in the band. At my younger ages, where I was a saxophone player, I started out as woodwinds. And so there was a band there that was, I think, a saxophone quintet, and it was the bass, the bari, the tenor, alto, soprano, sopranino. So I guess there'd be 5 or 6 people. And she always said, I was always wondering why there were any girls in the band. I don't know. Well, when I was at UCF, Central Florida, doing my undergraduate, they would have these seasonal student bands. And I auditioned for those and got picked, and I marched in the Card Band and the Cinderella Band. They were just mainly Easter and Christmas. That's how I bought my first Wilson Euphonium, was playing in the parks. And then I went off to, did my master's at IU. And one of those seasons, I flew home on the weekends and still worked at Disney because I wanted to keep my foot in the door. And then when I was in Maryland, I just started the doctorate at Maryland. I was working that, like I said earlier, the Bob's Big Boy, and the phone rang. And it was one of the people that hires you from entertainment. And they said that they had an audition, and, they were wondering if I was interested because I didn't take the audition. I didn't even know about it, so they'd heard rumors about this girl that played in the band, blah, blah. So they hired me over the phone. I moved and left there. I took all the books and turned them in. It was a great job. I lasted there. We did 10 years. It was one of those things where you never knew how long you'd work there. So my dad was someone who saved money, and so I took on that. If you don't know you're going to have a rainy day or whatever, the rainy day kind of thing, he'd always say. But when it went down, it didn't matter to me because I had saved like a crazy person, and it wasn't a big deal. But you knew it was going to go away. I mean, they say every show must come to an end, but we played, 5 days a week. It was a great salary. I mean, you just showed up. They had shoes. A guy from Miami came and made the shoes for my feet because I have small feet, and we wore these wingtips, and we did parades part of the day where different celebrities would come, Mr. Miyagi, Marcel, a bunch of people came through the years to what was called the Star of the Day parade. And we did Aladdin parades. I mean, Star Wars tours. There was even that dinosaurs thing came through, and not the mama, whatever dumb thing.
Dinosaurs. I think it was
stupid.
called.
Yeah, they dressed me up like we were like the mamas and papas one time. And one time it was the Ernest Scared Stupid thing. We were dressed up they had a call time, and we had to show up like at 2:32 was mine, and Willie Clark had to be there at 2:29 or whatever, and the different guys in the group. And I was going up to the water fountain getting something to drink, and there was this guy there, and I didn't know who it was. It was Willie Clark, and he's African American. They had dressed him up like a dead Asian guy that had, I don't know he had like blood coming out of his mouth. Well, next thing you know, I was dressed like they did makeup on me, and I was a dead French maid. Yeah, there was someone that had been eaten by piranhas. I mean, it was crazy how much they put into that parade. Yeah, but it was great while it lasted. It was great money, and it was a very fun, fulfilling experience. I mean, this year is the 30th anniversary of the Two Befores, and if I don't mind a plug, we're going to be playing at the Army workshop, and it'll be our 30th anniversary. So all of us,
awesome.
I think most of us are getting back together. I don't know if everyone's going to be able to make it. I think Pat Glenn's in Japan, but I'm pretty sure Chris Olka is going to be there, and of course Willie Clark, Carmen Russo. Hopefully we'll get Mark Thiel, and maybe Mike Roylance will even come because he was one of our subs. So it should be a fun hang.
That's a cool list.
Wow. Yeah.
Willie came right out of that into the Air Force Band, if memory serves. I think that was his next stop. So we were there together. He went to
Air Force Band. Carmen went to the Army Field Band. Pat Glenn is in Japan still, and Chris Olka, who was one of our guys, he obviously was in Seattle. Now he's in Cincinnati. Mike Roylance was in the Future Corps, but he subbed with us. He's in Boston. I mean, it's amazing where so many of the tuba and euphonium players. I was sort of the last one standing in Orlando with a house there because everybody had really much bolted. So, but yeah, everyone went out and did good things. I remember Mark Thiel being in the band. When someone made their mind up, they wanted to do something different. He just practiced on the breaks. Next thing you know, he took a Marine Band audition, and he was out of there too. So pretty cool.
Well, now was the Two Befores the start of your arranging career as well, or had you been doing some writing before then?
I started writing back in high school, you could say, and little things like for the stands, and then through college. And when I did a master's degree, we got to write pieces for To Be Euphonium Ensemble because Harvey Phillips was into that. And then the Disney would say where it was really sort of the big push for that because, you could write for a custom group. Those charts, still so many of them, they're not published, and I don't know if they could ever be published. They're just in file cabinets, but we'll dust them off and play them up at the Army Conference.
That's pretty cool.
That's going to be neat. Yeah,
you got paid I think it was $2.50 a measure. I remember I was writing Bugler's Holiday Arrangement, and I just would transcribe stuff. I didn't see a score, and I'd put it in 4/4. And then when I finally got access to a score, I saw it was in 2/4. I was like, crap. So I went through and I get the ruler out because it was all done by hand because finale wasn't
right.
And I went back through there and put 2/4 and got like twice the bread.
Yeah, I was going to say you should put everything in one.
Yeah.
1-8.
Yeah.
So, did you get any hang time with Mr. Miyagi?
No, most of those stars when they came through, we were supposed to not approach them, but they had these black and white cards that you could get signed, and every once in a while we'd be able to get one of them to sign it. I remember when Wynton Marsalis kind of, he didn't want to sign. I mean, there's some of them we could get. Phil Stiller signed. There was a basketball player. There was quite a few people. I can't remember. There were several of them. The guys used to send me up to get them because it seemed like, because we weren't supposed to, they figured I could get away with it because I was a chick in the band. So.
Let's send the chick.
Yeah. The parade we did, the parades were, you got done and there was a little bit of time, but they normally threw them in a car and hauled them off. But there was Zsa Zsa Gabor was there. I mean, there was a whole bunch of people. I have those cards somewhere. I have to look at those again. It's kind of a memory. Might be fun to look back.
Bring them to the Army
Conference. Yeah, we had a good time. We did the Good Morning America show. Then we were on the Bozo show. I mean, there was unlimited things we did with that. You just didn't know. They did the Tuba Christmas on property. And I know that still to the day is the largest one ever, but, wasn't documented. But we did one in MGM Studios. We did one at Epcot and one at Magic Kingdom. So pretty fun. And I still host that for 22 years now in Orlando.
Wow.
It's crazy.
That is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's hard to know
and
where to go.
I haven't lived in Orlando.
That was this summer, right?
Well, I haven't lived there in the past 7 years, essentially, because, I moved away but left my house there, and then was in Michigan for 3 years, and then I've been here 4 years. So, and I'm in Conway, Arkansas.
For the weather.
It was hot. The weather is very similar to Florida here, but we're not hot as long. It'll cool off sooner, and the winter lasts a little longer, so it's okay.
So, what can you unpack the what's your day gig entail now? About 45 things.
My day gig now is I know. When I got here, there was only 3 euphoniums and about 6 tubas, and I was running the second jazz band. Well, now, here we are. This is start my 5th year. I have graduated 4 graduate students. I have as many as 5 or 6 grad students at a time in my studio, and I have 22 students in my studio. They're all majors right now. I'm supposed to have had 3 others, but they're going to take a semester off or whatever. Someone, is going to start in the spring because they marched and, one of the drum corps and wants more time. And now I'm running the jazz area. I'm the head of the jazz area, and I run the top jazz band at the school. So it is essentially probably 2 or 3 people's job what I do. I was able to get a graduate assistant for jazz, and he's fabulous. So he'll help run rehearsals when I'm not there and help with the music. And then I've got 2 grad students that help me within my studio that will teach half hour of the freshman students, and I teach the other half hour, and they'll run to Euphonium Ensemble. So it's helpful having the worker bees. At first, I wasn't really hip to that because I wasn't used to that, and I wasn't used to, I didn't trust it. But now I just say, I need this done, and it normally happens pretty quick. So,
well, it's good training. You got to let them find their way.
I was helping someone with their CV, not too long ago, and I remember asking this person, what'd you do when you were the grad assistant at the school? And they said nothing. I'm like, what do you mean? And didn't you conduct the ensemble or help host anything? And no. And then I went home that day and I thought, well, man, I don't want my students to be like that. So I started divvying it out, and when you get a degree from my school, you get to conduct and you get to do things. I want the resume to have things. And I have 3 classes of repertoire and pedagogy that I teach that are separate ones. And I never had one of those in all 3 of my degrees. And I make them sample judge a tuba euphonium conference. Write a CV, teach them philosophy. I drag them through all kinds of stuff in addition to the repertoire and pedagogy stuff. But so it's a good program. We have a good scholarship program, lots of scholarship money and automatic in-state tuition if you're from out of state and those kinds of good things. But it's great. Arkansas is wonderful. State parks are free. Have a great boss. My boss is terrific. When I've bought 2 Wilson euphoniums and a Miraphone tuba since I've been here, and needed mutes and we got them. So it's good when you have a good program. there was a time when I was wondering, I was worried about being the Euphonium DMA person. Would I get a job? Because no one's going to want me. I would apply to a couple things and I wouldn't get asked to come interview. And I thought, what? And you wonder and you realize, they want someone that's going to do this and that and the other. So when I got this job here, I was very fortunate because I was older, and then I wasn't someone with a DMA and tuba as well, but I play tuba in the brass quintet. We have a Pinnacle Brass Quintet here that's a faculty group that's part of that job, but not really on the workload. So that's not happening this semester, but typically that's 2 to 3 hours a week too. So it can be crazy.
Yeah, I'd say.
It
goes like this. You ready? No.
Yeah. I've learned how to say no. I really have. I remember Harvey Phillips, he was someone who was busy. And, my most favorite thing I learned from Harvey was, one of my first lessons, he said, if you got someone you need to help you do something and you have two kinds of people to ask, he said, you got someone who's just really, really busy and they're just running crazy all the time. And you got someone who's got free time, they got free time. And I just said, oh, that's the person who has free time. And he looked, he says, no. It's true, and my students say that the busiest people in the building are the ones that we reply the emails and, the ones that get things done. So I figured I'd take on that job like he did. So I just stay busy.
Yeah, that's a tough challenge for sure. Well,
and running the jazz band's fun. That's not something you would expect for euphonium players, but because of the saxophone background, obviously I played big band throughout when I was at IU. I played in the big bands there as a Barry player. So,
I didn't know that.
I did not know that.
Every summer now, it's funny. Last summer, 2 summers ago, they have a faculty band that they put together for the Dixie Band Camp that we host at my school. And I told the professor of saxophone here, if you need a Barry player, let me know. So she comes out, I got you in. And we're going to do coconut champagne. And I was like, oh, crap. Because that's like that big Barry sax solo that's from the Maynard chart. And I haven't played in 20-something years. So I come home and I'm looking at my saxophone, hadn't been played forever, and I pull out the Barry and it's leaking and it's a disaster, And so, so I learned something really quick, that you can play your butt off as a euphonium or tuba player. I'm talking all the high stuff, this, that, fancy, this, that, and the other. Play it from memory, whatever. And you can leave the stage and it's all great. Everyone's applauding. The next day people say, good job. You do a Barry saxophone solo and you are a dang on rock star. The next day, and still to this day, they see me, the kids from last year, you're going to do another Barry sax solo this year? They don't care about euphonium so much, but the Barry sax, man, you're a rock star when you do that. Strange.
Maybe we should start interviewing Barry sax players too.
Yes.
Well,
Brass and Barry sax.
As you can guess, Howard Johnson's always been my hero because he was a Barry player that played tuba.
So you have you're kind of this itinerant euphonium player in about 14 different bands. What do you even know the full number of groups you're playing with over the course of a year?
Well, typically it's Brass Band in Battle Creek. I've been with that group. I played off and on for many years. I think probably, I don't know how many, 20 years ago. And then I've been a permanent member now, 10, 12 years or so. I'm not sure. And so, it's one of those things. That group is pretty standing. The new Sousa band, I've been playing in that group since 95. And we just got a call. I got an email yesterday. The new Sousa band's playing at Midwest Clinic this year. So that's cool. Earl Louder and I are the euphonium section in that band. And I would say Earl's been my euphonium teacher through the years. I was sitting by him. Yeah. So that band's been very instrumental. Yeah. And then there's the Blossom Festival band's the newest thing. I've subbed in the River City through the years. I don't know. I'm sort of on a quest to play with all these groups that, that need euphonium players that you don't have to be in the military for. So
right.
Little by little kind of happens.
Because I don't think, did you ever play when I was in?
You were never in there. I think I subbed for Baritone a couple times. I had to do that show. And whoever I subbed for was not very nice, was writing cuts and things on the music.
Oh.
I remember having to sing that. Pick a little, whatever. Yes, it was high.
Yeah. Those were days.
Wait, so this person, This person was writing cuts in the music that
weren't
Well,
there.
no, there was like
to
roadmap
intentionally-
things that weren't very clear. When you would come in and sub, there was no rehearsals. The band's on tour in Florida, and you come and you sit in.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they kind of show you what's going on. But yeah, I mean, I'm
see.
savvy with that, but. Mm-hmm.
I thought you meant that this person was mad that you or someone was subbing, so they were like intentionally writing. That's pretty sinister if you like write a 60-bar cut.
Well, maybe they didn't know they were going to miss, so they weren't writing it for themselves. But then you come in and you're subbing, and you're like, "What? I have to run out to the microphone and sing?"
Yeah. Well, a lot of those things, were kind of those. They were well worn, so sort of figured out after 1,000 performances, probably had to do it this way. And then everybody in the band just sort of automatically.
It's new. Oh, I know. It's like looking at the Two Befores book. I'm sure our cuts weren't very clear.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't play for the music. Yeah. No, that was a fun group. I'm sorry we didn't cross paths there.
Yeah. Well, and actually, did we cross paths in Battle Creek for a while? Maybe just when I was leaving, you might have been coming.
One gig? I don't know. I don't know if we've crossed paths there either.
I don't know.
And hopefully we'll cross paths this summer at the American Band College. So
I hope so. I'm starting to think it's me.
No. You came to my school, though, University of Central Florida, though, when you played with the Boston Brass.
That's true. We did do that.
Remember that? Y'all were selling your Christmas CD.
Oh, that's right.
Always selling something.
How about, can you talk to us about the Symbiosis Duo?
Oh, that's a great group. It's funny when you meet people through ensembles sitting by them, and you just sort of notice. And I remember playing in the Monarch Brass, and I got to finally sit by Stacey Baker. I'd seen her, and I'd known of her. And there was a point where the conductor said, play those notes. So tubas and euphoniums play those notes and let her be longer or whatever it was. And, me, I grabbed my pencil, started writing, and so did she. And I thought, that's interesting. Because sometimes people don't grab their pencils. And I just noticed that she was very meticulous, and then we just matched really, really well. And so I don't know, we had been hanging out at some point or other. And I said, we should do a group. We should form something together. We should put together a duo or something and record someday, And I think it was we were camping or something like that somewhere. And and so I don't know. Then she wrote the proposal for that conference, and was the one that was in Tennessee. I can't remember all the dates. Please don't be mad, Stacy. But anyway, yeah. So we, and she wrote the proposal, and so we got composers together to write it. So Stacey Baker and I originally just was the two of us, and we had Alex Theo, and then through time we, Deb Eastwood would play on some flugelhorn and some cornet, different pieces. But it's been mostly Stacey and myself and Alex, and then we've had different pianists here and there. It's just been amazing. We're gonna have a gig coming up with Marty. Stacey was just here in Conway, and we rehearsed yesterday because we're playing at Marty's school up in Wisconsin.
Lawrence, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
but it's fun. We had a gig planned last year, and that's when Stacey got run over by someone, hit her as a pedestrian on campus. So it's been a year that we were supposed to do another gig, so I'm happy to be back playing with her. So
holy cow.
A lot of groups. I think I would say we're probably one of the first groups to really form sort of a real sort of permanent duet, and we really got a lot of music written. And now since then, there's been so many more duos that have formed, and it's great to see and more music. Because really, wasn't a whole lot to pick from. The Wonderland duets. I mean, there was just a few. I mean, when you think about, I don't even think that's for tuba euphonium. I think that's Euphonium or tuba. Yeah, and narrator. But, when you're looking for tuba and euphonium stuff, there wasn't a lot, And then along comes Mark Nelson and those guys, and they had the James Grant wrote his piece, the double concerto, and so it's been fun.
That Gillingham piece, It's Hard as Blazes, too. Was that?
Diversive Elements.
Diversive Elements, that's right.
Yeah, we've played that. Mm-hmm.
Well, and Fernando Dados, he's done some tuba youth stuff. Andrew and I did that.
We haven't played that, yeah.
Yeah, you would dig that. That's really good.
It's a really neat piece. What the heck is it called? It's our theme song for the
It's
podcast.
Divertimento Duo, or Duo
That's
Divertimento.
Right.
That's what I mean.
I'll have to look that up. Yeah,
So speaking of Fernando, he sent me a picture. He and Marty were sitting across from each other at a table in some establishment, and they were both holding beers. And I said, "Is that your grandfather?" Which is not
Shots
nice.
fired.
That is not nice. And then I told him it was okay for him to tell Marty that I said that, and he goes, "I already did."
Marty's great. Yeah, he's great. Yeah.
Is that your grandfather?
Somehow we haven't had him on here yet. How did we miss that one?
Yeah, he's somebody that's so obvious to have that we were probably like, yeah, we'll get him next week.
Well, they're doing cool stuff up there at Lawrence
incredible.
too. That's a great school. I'm glad you go.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's excited to have us there. You know, I was supposed to play there the year I got this gig, and I had to back out a few things because I went from working 2 days a week to working 5 days a week, and I didn't have all that free time. It was more money to fly. That's the only bad thing about being here, I guess you could say, if there had to dig, is it is about $100 more every flight I go somewhere.
Oh yeah,
So
you got to take 2 flights to
fly.
get anywhere, probably, right?
Just about, yeah. There's a direct flight that goes from here to Orlando parts of the year on Sun Country, but I don't know. Most of the point, you're always going to Atlanta or Dallas, Fort Worth. So
Lance and I have found a solution to that, which is to cease boarding airplanes.
Stay home.
But I think it would be hard to convince all 14 of the bands you play with to come to you all the time.
Yeah, there's some good groups. The Monarch Brass is another one I play with. The Athena Brass Band. I think that's mainly. I'm probably forgetting something, but yeah.
Just those 7. And now I know that you happen to be quite an angler. So how long have you been fishing? Are you an overall outdoorsy person, or you're just particularly fond of fishing? All the above.
I drive a red truck. It was my childhood dream to have a red truck, and it's got towing capacity. It's not a big one. It's a Nissan Frontier, and it pulls about 5,500 pounds. So I have a 22-foot boat, a fishing boat. It's got a cuddy cabin on it. I don't know. I kayak. I do archery in the yard here. I don't want to shoot anybody and kill anything, but just like being outside. Like I mentioned earlier, the state parks here are free, which is wonderful. Fishing has been something that was, it's in my family. I had a great grandfather who was someone who was an inventor that invented the no backlash thing on the Ocean City reels back in the day. And then my grandfather, his son, my great grandfather, he was fishing. He's the one that taught us how to fish. And my dad was very much into fishing. So I don't know. I almost catch a bass anywhere I go. And I only need 1 or 2 different lures. That's about all I need. But even though I have a whole bunch of other stuff, I really need to get rid of that and just keep the Zoom flukes that are watermelon seed red, or the Zoom frogs. I think they're called horny toads is the frog that I like.
Fishing lure. I'm working on the show notes. Hang on. Recommendation. All right. Fishing lure recommendations. That's good.
Hey, any brass player who goes in detail about their preferred lure before they go in detail on mouthpieces is my kind of guess. And I'm not a fisherman, but but I'm much more interested in hearing you talk about lures than talk about cup depths.
People ask me why I like to fish. Well, people ask why I like to fish. I think it's sort of like chance because you see all this water in front of you. And you can catch just about anything. It could be a really big fish or small fish. It's like going to the flea market. You might find a
it's
dumbbell.
Like me going on stage. It's just chance.
But it does. It's an escape. Another one of my escapes is I really like doing jigsaw puzzles. As a matter of fact, I just did one earlier today just because I needed to stop working. But, I don't know. It's just hard to stop. We never clock out as musicians. And even now, even when I'm working the puzzle, I'm thinking, I need to be doing this. I'm making a to-do list. But yeah, it's crazy.
It's a full life. So we have so many people in common. I was up in Michigan. In fact, I just played one of your arrangements for a tragic reason. I don't know I think you had heard from Tom Gillette, who is a mutual friend. Tom Gillette was in the Navy band, one of the field bands for the Navy.
I know Tom. I lived with Tom Gillette for a year.
I know.
When I was in Michigan, I was a housemate to him and his partner, Kay.
Yeah.
We had a great time. That was so fun.
So Tom and I shared a band director. Tom was about, some number of years ahead of me. And our mutual band director's wife passed away. And I happened to be heading back to town, and Tom and I and another player got to play your arrangement of Old Rugged Cross for 3 euphoniums, which was
cool.
just
That's right.
beautiful.
He told me that. Well, when I lived with
So
those
we
guys,
shared
it was,
Gail Robertson stories while we were there. Beautiful chart.
cool. Well, when I bunked in with them for 2 semesters, it was going to be really hard to live in Ypsilanti and make money being an adjunct. It wasn't going to be financially worth it. So, and they offered for me to stay with them, and it was great. We had a great time. I learned all about Leonard Falcone and all kinds of stuff. We would tinker and shot arrows in the yard, and they never called the police on me. It was just crazy. But I, had a good time with them. But the neat thing about those guys is I was there for several holidays, and so for like a present or a little prize for each one of those, I wrote a trio, because you don't find very many trios.
Mm-hmm.
I think I did 3 or 4 different trios, and we would sit down and we would play them, and then we'd eat Thanksgiving dinner or Easter or whatever. And I think the Rugged Cross, I don't know what that one was for. I'd have to look and see what holiday that was for.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can tell you it was really appreciated, though.
Cool. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, it worked out great. So that was a rotten reason to do it, but it was a great piece of music.
Yes.
Tom is crazy. You know that, right?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. He's got, maybe I'll share it for the bonus episode. There's a amazingly ridiculous story of a thing that he did in the Navy band that I'll share for the bonus episode. Teaser.
Perfect.
See what we did there?
Teaser.
I'm pretty sure I heard it.
So you are
I'm pretty
the
sure you
president.
have to.
So Gail, you're the president-elect for ITEA, right?
Yes, I am. I guess I've got about 10 more months of not going crazy. Well, it's a 6-year term, so you do 2 years as vice president, 2 years as president, and then 2 years as president-elect. So it's brilliant. So there's always like a trio of people to help, at least, and then I remember the day Jerry Young called me, and I thought, what's Jerry Young calling me for? And he asked me would I want to accept the nomination. And I almost threw up because I thought, oh no, and because I'm busy, but then I'm like, well, what would Harvey say? Busy people are the ones who get it done, and I waited a couple of days and thought about it because I thought, well, I need to really, really think about this. Can I physically do it, and do it well? And so, yeah, it's been great. We hosted a big their retreat in Conway this summer, and a bunch of the executive directors came all here, and it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
And who is the president right now? I should know this.
Kevin Wass.
Oh yeah, of course. I actually did know that. It's just 10 p.m. And who is the past president?
Marty Erickson.
There you go.
And then prior to him was Jerry Young. So Jerry promised me he would help me as long as I needed. And he's one of those people that I never studied with him, but I feel like he's my teacher. If I ever need a letter of recommendation, he's just amazing. He's the words of wisdom and advice. He's amazing.
Rain or shine.
That man has more one-liners. Yeah, he has more one-liners.
Onward and upwards.
Every time I see him at a conference, he as he's walking by, he spins some one-liner at me, and he has yet to repeat himself. It's like there's been like 60 of them, and he hasn't repeated himself yet.
Fine
he's incredible.
Hair. Busier than a one-legged man in a butt-kicking contest.
Well, he's an Arkansan.
He is.
He's
that's right.
Arkansas, yeah.
And now he's about as north as you can get now, and he's up near Traverse City, Michigan.
Yep. And I noticed when I was at the ABC thing, how you can put your name on that map.
Yeah.
There was only 2 Arkansans. It was Francis Macbeth and me.
Oh yeah.
Because Francis Macbeth is from here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you going to institute any radical changes within ITEA?
No, I don't. I mean, that's
dress code.
It's such good. It's really on a really amazing path right now. I mean, it's intimidating because you don't want to do anything wrong or whatever. But it's really, I mean, there's such a great crew. I mean, you got Pat Stuckmeyer, who's the treasurer and all that, and Jason Smith that does a website. And I mean, it's incredible. And Scott Hansen, executive director. I mean, it's like a family. When we all came here into town, it was just great.
I just actually had a flashback, Lance.
Uh-oh.
We were So I'm seeing on Gail's bio that she is the editor of the Tuba Euphonium Press, and I was reminded of the of the journal. Just in terms of editor, we were in Arkansas. We were at her school when you when you ran into Ben Pierce and Ben and Ben Pierce. Lance, let me see if I can get this right. Ben asked Lance to write a piece for the journal, and Lance then wrote a piece, and Ben had to inform Lance that what he wrote, that he just could not put that in the journal, and it was it was an amazing conversation to watch. What was the name of the piece that you wrote?
Remember. I wish I remember, because it was I had crafted this. Well, I think he just changed the title, didn't he? I wrote a review of a thing, and then he asked, could we call it something else?
It was really, whatever it was incredibly inappropriate.
Was very inappropriate. Well, I would say that was a lightly disguised inappropriateness. I mean, it was like a string of words that if you said them together, then all sorts of bad things came out of your mouth.
Uh-oh.
The word individually was benign, and bless his heart, he was doing his best to try and reason with me and be rational, and he momentarily forgot who he was talking to.
And his face just kind of had, I love Ben.
Ben's amazing, yeah.
It had this look on his face like, what the hell were you thinking? And then you could see him doing the math, be like, oh yeah, it's Lance. Like, yeah, it's, and then when you and I were walking away, I said to you, I was like, hey man, that's on me. He asked you, or that's on him. He asked you to write a piece for the journal. Like, what was he thinking?
It's a fair point.
Yeah, well, he's another great asset, a great asset for ITA because of doing the journal. That would have to be a yucky job trying, but
you're dealing with jackasses like Lance who are like writing double entendre titled reviews of like.
I'm looking in my email. I can't find it. I don't know.
I wish I could
remember.
I thought that you were going to remember. That's why I brought it up. Don't want to tease the audience too much, but whatever it was just like you did not. Yeah, of course you did. Yeah, of course you submitted that like with no like winking smiley face. You just submitted it as if it was just any other day.
I might have found it because it was about military band repertoire or something. Oh, that's right. He kept the article. He wrote. He had no problem with the article. But
change the title.
He did. I called it. This is completely inappropriate. This is really funny to me. Still funny to me. But I'm so sad that I had forgotten this. I should post this on my website. I'm going to download this right now. Houchin is the March composer. Fucik. And I was talking about. I was talking about. It was, the article is in my voice. I mean, I'm not a straight shooter necessarily. Let's just say. So there's
not necessarily scholarly.
It's kind of like what we try to do here, which is it's equal parts jackassery and content. And so I tried to do that in this, and then I was talking about the fact that I also play ukulele. So I called the article Fuchik Uke, which is Fucikuke. And I kept using the Fuchik March, the Thunder and Blazes, as the the thing I was talking about. And I mean, it's completely juvenile, which is why I liked it so much. So, yeah, I'm going to download this. This will appear. You'll have to go to LanceLaDuke.com, and you will find it under ITEA Fuchik Uke article. That is the name of this article.
I'm so glad I was standing next to you for all that. He was like,
totally forgot.
I can't print that. Like,
he's like, I can't. Well, because the ukulele, right? Because this is a tuba journal, and he's like, it's, and he's like, he's just such a nice person.
Yes. So we're very fortunate, when you think about who's in town. I mean, you've got him, he's here. You've got Jamie Lipton, Ed Owen. I think Clinton Maddox is in town now. I mean, it's incredible. Gretchen Renshaw lives right in the same town where I am. She conducts over at Hendrix, which is a school right in Conway. So it's pretty amazing, the tuba and euphonium people that are in this state.
There you go.
You're trying so hard to keep us under.
Yeah, you are. You're keeping us. That was like a pro move.
Yeah.
If we were the jackass guests.
No, you're not being boring. You're just you're
not being boring. You're just doing a good job. It's almost like you teach college kids.
That's right.
It's like you're doing
I have to behave because people are going to hear this, parents and students, and they have to respect me.
Well, I think
especially since I said I live with Tom Gillette, I had to fix that real quick.
Yeah, you do got to come back from that one. Yeah.
Well, I think if anything, we're making you look good. So I think, I don't think you need to worry. So, oh man,
how much writing and arranging are you doing now, Gail?
Not as much as I sometimes do. It just sort of hits me here or there. I've got a gig coming up. I got a random email this summer from, just someone I didn't even recognize. And so I looked at it, how you get those emails saying my daughter's Chrissy's going to be in town and she wants to take lessons from you. Can you pay $1,000 up front and we'll pay you back? I mean, it's just a big scam. But I looked at it and I thought I Googled him and everything. And I looked it up and it was a real guy from Virgin Islands, from St. Thomas, and it's this guy writes to me and he says, we'd like to bring you into St. Thomas to play. They have a teacher that has passed away there from Virgin Islands, and they wanted me to play his double-belled euphonium that they have restored. They've spent the past 2 years restoring this man's euphonium, and double-belled euphonium. So I wrote him back and I asked him how to hear about me, but it was through someone through IWC and all that. But anyway, it's a real deal. So I'm going to write something for that, and I'm going to be going over during Thanksgiving to play on this double-belled euphonium over in the Virgin Islands. And it should be very fun. I'm looking forward to, going there, doing something different. And so I'm going to make this year the year of the double-belled euphonium. I own 6 of them. And so it should be fun. It's different. I'm going to probably play the different horns with different pieces and write something. Barbara York came into town, I'm going to say maybe 3 weeks ago. She's like in Pittsburgh, Kansas, and she and her husband drove over, and I got to show her the double-belled euphonium, what it does, and she's writing a piece for me. And she said it's going to be highly conversational. But yeah, the guy's name is Herman E. Wallace. He's their sort of beloved teacher over in the Virgin Islands, and it was Leroy Trotman that contacted me. And so, yeah, it should be fun. I'm going to be playing at the southernmost, one of the earliest Moravian churches in the Western Hemisphere. So it should be very fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and I'm going to play this instrument before they put it permanently into a museum on display. So it's going to be its last performance. So, but yeah, so it's going to be neat. So I'm going to write something for that. I write some things for brass quintet here and there, but not what I thought I would have written for a brass quintet now that I'm in one. I don't know. You write stuff. To me, I write based on, people's reaction to it. And if everyone, is like, wow, this is really cool and everything, then it's always encouraging to write more because you're not getting paid if you're writing for your own brass quintet. But I write for them and it works and everything is fine like that. But, I don't seem to get a huge, big responses from them. So I don't, I'm not going to put a whole lot of time into that. And we don't, it's not that big of a deal. Brass ensemble stuff is fun. Brass Band Barrack Week, I've done some things for them. Marching band on occasion, but most of the time it's tuba euphonium stuff. I've been writing a lot of stuff for cajon. I've been doing more composition. So like using cajon and euphonium and bass, or euphonium and cajon and piano and tuba, some different things. Trying to do something other than just the typical tuba euphonium.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You got all sorts of cool stuff going on.
Yeah, I bought a cajon so I could sort of understand it and study it, and I bought a book on it and everything. And so, yeah, my boss here at school, Paige Rose, is the department chair. She plays cajon, and I saw hers was the first one I'd ever seen. And so I thought, it's only $100. So I got one, and I like playing on it. When I get bored, I jump on it. I put on like the Pandora or whatever, and then I just jump on it and just play. another goofball thing is I love the glockenspiel, so I'll put on the stylistics channel, and as soon as I hear glockenspiel, I go run and, you make me feel brand new, ding ding. I don't know why, but I noticed the glockenspiel like someone smelling, burnt pizza in the air. I have no idea, but I go running, and people are like, don't even hear the glockenspiel. Oh, I do, and I go running. And I'm terrible. I'm so terrible on it. It's like one of the things, if you had to think of what's Gail's weakest things, I'd say math. I was awful at algebra and all that. And the next thing that I'm terrible at is piano. Ugh. I don't do well with the two hands thing at the same time. It's weird.
Except for Barry Sachs.
Well, I don't know. And it's weird going back to that and playing that again. It was weird. My left hand's gotten dumber over time. But my right hand was still, it was neat. Those are the heavier keys, so I felt like that was cool. But every once in a while, I was forgetting to put down the octave key, which is on your left hand. So yeah, I would say I need to brush that up.
I wouldn't have predicted that the thing that made you most animated in this interview was talking about the glockenspiel.
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess there's a part of me that, like I said, I've got as much humor as you do because of my Disney years, but it's sort of been a switch that's been turned off, Even when I play in the chamber groups now, I'm very reserved and I don't say a whole lot because, I don't know, it's weird when you're on set. I'm looking forward to being back with the Tuba Force and doing that thing in December. Actually, I'm sorry, it's January, because there's a side of Gail that seems like it's been bottled up. It's weird. Like I don't want to be the person in charge. Sort of when you're new in town, you don't want to take over and do too much. So I'm always afraid to say too much or do too much or take over. So I kind of sit back. But when it comes to the glockenspiel, I'm going to go run into it.
Well, yeah, that side of you is still in there because you literally just burst into song.
I know.
We're an hour in and you just burst into song.
Well, y'all have learned about lures. You've learned about the glockenspiel. What else you want to know?
I don't know what my brain can hold anymore. You've met me.
I think the only thing, if you give him anything too useless, it's going to knock something that's actually usable out of his head. What? So don't do that to his poor fiance. So I think that we are at the time now when with someone as learned as you, maybe it has to do with fishing, who knows? But you know Jens from your time together in the brass band of Battle Creek. He is the very affable Canadian gentleman in the trumpet section, if you can't remember who he is. But he's been having some chop problems for a long time. His name is Jens Lindemann. So he's best known as the husband of Dr. Jennifer Snow, who is a complete badass pianist. But he's having some chop problems, and we're wondering if you might be able to provide some advice or support or guidance for him in this time of need.
Well, I was thinking he could always switch to euphonium, and maybe that would help him. Or maybe he could borrow some of those horny toad fishing lures and rub that across his mouthpiece. That might work. We could try poor Jens. Wow, I feel terrible about that.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
He's been battling it for how many years now?
3, right? Something like that.
Yeah, over 3, 3.5. Yeah, we've been a long time.
Poor guy.
So to quote the great Carol Jansch, man, you guys sure can drive a joke into the ground. No, truer words have not been spoken in over 90 episodes of the Brass Junkies.
90 episodes, that's amazing.
So on this 94.
94 might be 95, so we might split up the youths. So, but yeah, it's been been a lot. It's been a lot. So, and every one of them hosted by me and Lance.
Wow.
I know you sound so excited. Wow.
That's not.
No, that's great. It's a lot of. I mean, it really, when you think about it, it's a lot of dedication to reaching out to people and setting it and coordinating it and all that.
I wouldn't know about the horny toad lure if I wasn't in my basement right now.
And you got to get the watermelon seed red or the watermelon seed. Don't be going for those other weird colors.
See,
I wouldn't have known that.
These things matter. Yep, details matter. All right. Well, Gail, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for when all you wanted. She not only has been working this hard at redecorating her. Well, like she just moved. She just sold a house. She's like installing ceiling fans, but she's exhausted, and she just bought brand new couches, and instead of relaxing on them, she's in her office talking to us. So thank you very much, Gail. We really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
And that is going to do it for another episode of The Brass Junkies. You've been listening to The Brass Junkies on the Pedal Note Media Podcast Network. If you would like to hear the bonus episode featuring today's guest, please visit patreon.com/thebrassjunkies to learn how you can support the show and instantly access all bonus materials, as well as gain access to a special patron-only Facebook group. The Brass Junkies is produced by the amazing, wonderful, and truly inspirational Will Houchin. The theme music was composed by Fernando Dados and performed by Andrew Hitz and Lance LaDuke. We are at Pray for Jens on Twitter and Instagram and have a Facebook page at facebook.com/prayforjens. You can find out more about the Brass Junkies and all the other Pedal Note Media podcasts at pedalnotemedia.com. This has been a presentation of the Pedal Note Media Podcast Network.